Aloha.
All right, so just going to start opening with a little honoring and respect, some prayer, just greeting all the beings seen and unseen, the plant spirits, the energies and the frequencies, the energies of the metaverse entities, these blockchain beings who are flowing here, all the various plant spirits, the plant medicines, the wisdom keepers, the traditional holders of wisdom who have been holding and sharing and teaching for many thousands of years. We acknowledge and we honor them, and we thank them, and we call upon them and these ancestral frequencies which we are working with. We call upon them to be present here, to support us in this meeting, in this work, in our sharings. Yes, many blessings. Hey. Yeah, so I'm just going to give a brief update on things we're going through, and I'll ask Mary Monster to jump in now and then, just to help me, and then after that we'll just go to kind of more general discussion and questions and answers that anybody has. Yeah, so welcome. This is really our second ever monthly meeting, just to give people an update on this project and where we're at, and also to get feedback from the DAO. More and more, we do want to, it's still a ways away from building the governance systems that we want to have. But in the meantime, until we've built on-chain voting and things like that, what we can do is we can ask questions, and we can talk, and we can say, what do you guys think? What does the DAO think about this and what's happening? And so, we're going to share from the foundation point of view what we're busy with and what we're working with. And then we'd love to get your feedback on that, what you think of it, if you think we could change things or do something a bit different. We're really very open to that. So just to let you know, please do bring whatever you need to bring. Yeah, so the foundation itself, just to start off there a little bit, we're still sitting at 6 team members in the foundation, although there are quite a few peripheral people, and that's going really great. We've been up and live for a month now, so finding our feet, figuring out how to work together, mostly all working remotely. So finding the ways and the marketing and tech and front-end design and all of that, everybody's sort of finding their place and settling in, and it's really feeling like we're meshing well as a team, working together well. And then with some external people, really worked with an amazing video editor recently who helped us with the art contest video, and also been chatting to an app developer for developing the mobile wallet. And so also looking at new people onboarding and coming in and how that can work. Some people also who maybe have a full-time job but are very interested in working with Elizio. And so they're dropping in here and there where they can work, and there's a sort of reward system in place. And we're really having more of that happening. It's been quite amazing and really, really gratifying to see how many people are really keen on the project and want to help out, and are happy to receive compensation with the Eliz token, and just kind of seeing the longer term vision of what we're building. You know, sometimes everything in crypto moves so fast, and then the plant world, it moves really slowly. And so we're sort of between these two worlds. So sometimes, you know, in the crypto world, if something hasn't done something in 2 weeks, it's like, oh my gosh, nothing's happening. This thing's dead. But, you know, we've got like a 10-year project here. We've got so much to build out: decentralized commerce, decentralized voting, onboarding, whole systems of people, traditional people, education. There's so much to do. So, you know, we have to be responsive to the crypto environment, and its needs for high speed, and we can do that in our communication. But sometimes it doesn't look like, you know, huge amounts are happening right away. Yeah, that's a bit on the foundation and the DAO side. I think that covers it. You know, please shout if there are any more questions. I'll move on to maybe Mary, if you want to share a little bit about the art contest and, you know, some of the energy there and around people wanting to onboard and things like that, the kind of broader picture of the DAO.
Okay. Yeah, so we launched our art contest. You guys all know that now. It was interesting. We had a conversation with someone on Friday who we're talking to about coming in as like almost like a public face to help to bring us onto his stage. He's a comedian, and help people and to understand decentralization and Eliz and our vision and the plant thing, and help to build bridges there, and which is what the art competition is all about, as well as finding images and symbols and calling forth images and symbols from the arising of artistry in expression, to that are recognizing of and supporting of bridging polarities, which is really what we're in the business of doing here, bridging polarities, not only in our own awareness and consciousnesses, but also in between different worlds, with the plant, the underground world, the rooted world of breathing and fire and water and earth, and you know, all of these things, and then the crypto world. Yeah, so bridging those two worlds. And in the conversation, then something that came up for me was like, hold on a moment, because in decentralized societies there is no competition. So we need to really think very clearly about the parameters of art competition stories, and actually, you know, so this brought up a whole interesting thought process for me. And what I came to is that those 12 people who will be receiving recognition, and I'm very curious to hear people's thoughts on this as well. In terms of a list, they're kind of coming in like 12 stones in a stone circle, which is a very powerful geometry, the 12 plus 1 geometry, and the plus 1 is being left open for all future art and forms of artistic expression to be created through our ecosystem, through Elizio, and that which we wish to see and experience in the world, us being free, you know, this exploration of finding ways to freely express who we are and live in abundance and live in truth of who we are and know what that actually is. Because really, I think that there are so few of us who actually fully know the truth that we are, like know it and are grounded in it 100%. We're all on this journey, and it's a big and important journey for the future of the planet and the children for the future and all of that. So this is this calling out to all artists, which includes everybody who is alive and breathing, to submit musings to help to set the field for Elizio as well, and for this big dreaming that we're doing. So that's quite exciting, and there's a whole lot of wording to to negotiate in making sure that we don't end up centralizing again.
Mm.
But also it brings up the interesting reflection of the benefits that centralization have got, and why we do that sometimes, and why it's a good idea to centralize, and when, and where are all of these boundaries. So this right at the beginning, right here with this art contest, this is in my mind and heart, this is opening all of this stuff up for me.
Mm.
um,
Mm.
and this dialogue. So yeah, hoping that we get more than 12 entries. That would be fantastic. Also thinking about, because my daughter asked me, so how are you going to judge this? And what came for me is like, we need to set in motion straight away the things that came through when first writing up the first draft idea of the DAO societal structure, which includes wisdom elders, and it includes seers or scries, or the visionaries and it includes foundation, and includes, I can't remember everybody, but there's various different groups that are um, of individuals choosing to take responsibility to help to hold frequencies, to help to hold points of relevance that are necessary to ground and root and maintain integral focus and structuring and the continual restructuring of a decentralized system.
Mm.
So straight away, which is like really soon, I'm wanting to somehow, like, can we do this? Can we start to emulate these different roles in the DAO? And who are these people, amongst us? I think there's 100 people or 101 people or something like that in the Telegram group. So who right now, with who we've got, who are the ones who want to be the seers, who journey to the within to find the answers, to find guidance, and take responsibility for a portion of the vote. Maybe this is also a time when we can practice, or and that kind of thing. Or do we go to some famous artists and say, hey, will you vote this for us? And shortlist things? Or do we, as a DAO, shortlist things and say, these art pieces are all definitely sharing or transmitting. These are definite transmissions of balancing of polarities and bridging of polarities, and these are not. And so then we shortlist like that, even if that shortlist is 300 artworks. And then from there, take it to a smaller vote, or do we do it the other way around? Do we have a smaller vote of people of responsibility, and then take, so even here already, it's like realizing, hey, we can't just do it like it's always been done, how we know it. Let's open up this question to the floor. Yeah.
May I come in here a little bit?
Yes, please do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. For those of you just listening to the audio, it's Maestro Big Nose here. That was Mary Monster. It's I think it's so interesting, just to see how deeply the centralized programming runs, or hierarchical thinking runs. And it's like kind of decolonizing that, or rewiring ourselves. We just keep, even those of us who have these strong intentions of doing this. And I've been working with open source software for 20 years, and in open source projects for that long. But it just still, it kind of always creeps in, and it's so prevalent. I think it might take generations to get to move it out. But it's this dance that we have, these two forces, the centrifugal force and the centripetal force. The centrifugal force spinning things apart, and the centripetal force bringing things together. These are such fundamental forces in the universe. And so these waves, if you look at human society and culture, it goes through waves of centralization, decentralization, civilization forming, civilization scattering. And I think in this process that we're working with, trying to spread power more evenly, and not have so many hierarchical controls, and make it more free for people to express themselves, and then we created a competition with first place, second place, third place, different awards. So, it was just natural that we created that, because that's how it's done, and that's how art competitions run, and this is what we did. And we're like, oh, look, we've done just what we're trying to help to to deprogram. We've just gone ahead and done it. And it's done now, it's out, but it's just a learning process, and it's a beautiful reflection process for us. And it's like, well, can we shift some things, or it's fine, it feels fine to have it like that. It doesn't feel like, oh my God, this is terrible. But it's really interesting to notice that, and also really interesting that we didn't pick it up until a few days after the competition. We were so focused on getting the competition out. We got it out, and we were like, oh, we want to decentralize the adjudication of the competition, but it's still a competition, and it's a win-lose game in a way. Does everybody get a participatory prize? But then does winning, what do you do with parasites or free riders in a non-meritocracy, or so they're like deep societal questions which we're grappling with here. And what's wonderful is Elizio provides a beautiful little laboratory to work some of them out. And, already they're coming up with our competitions, with our structuring, with our, as we start to onboard the first vendors. So yeah, I'll share that a bit later. The next piece, I actually, Mary, let me see. Are you kind of done with the sharing about the DAO? Can I move on to the token, or was there something else to share with? And I've also got Haku and Kundalini here, some other members of the team, the foundation.
Yeah, I want to say it's I think it's the image that I'm holding in my mind is this image of this stone circle with 12 beautiful big stones, and the frequency holders that each one of those NFTs will be from the beginning for us. So that's what I'm focusing in on, and the wellspring of potential and creativity and freedom. Mm-hmm. Freedom of expression flowing up through the center of the stone circle, and being brought down into the center of the stone circle at the same time, mm-hmm. Into the present. So yeah, the main reason why we thought up the idea of doing the competition is to build up the DAO. So to bring in more people. Particularly also to encourage more of the plant type people, who are many of them artists, to come in and be brave and dip their toes into the crypto reality, and then also to engage with the people from the crypto reality, the metaverse, and say, okay, these are the parameters, come bring your art, but we're curating here, we're highly curating here, and inviting you to step up and play with us. And so that's the purpose for that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's all I've got to say about that.
Okay.
I mean, the only other thing that's sitting with me a little bit right now is how, and I just want to speak it in, how weird it feels to not to have a face in this call other than the picture that I'm presenting. Mm. And just acknowledging that, and really so happy to see the faces that I can see. And knowing that you have seen my face already in the past, and I'm glad that we can all play this game and work with what I've started calling the meta mask. So that we can build this environment, but also just be ourselves and meet on the street and be unrecognized. Yeah, we might have to start to encrypt the sound of our voices or something, but it seems it's like a bit of a game. So I'm also exploring the boundaries of that in my own awareness too. Yeah, but it's really nice to be here. Thanks for showing up, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, so just moving on a little bit to Eliz.money. That site's up and live. For those of you who've yet to claim all your tokens, please go ahead. We're totally unlocked now. So actually the foundation, some of the team members' tokens are still locked, but that's not a lot of tokens in total. That's locked up. Most of the tokens which are locked now are those who've not yet claimed, those from the seed sale who've not yet claimed their tokens, but they are all fully unlocked and claimable. And then there's some of the foundation, not just members of the foundation, but the foundation itself. Our tokens are locked up also. So those are going to be slowly releasing over time. So yeah, there's a bit more coming up for Eliz.money soon. We're just doing some final security checks on some of the rewards that we're going to be offering for locking up your tokens, for staking your tokens. So that's something we're calling the forest, and that's going to be a single stake Eliz. So you lock up some Eliz, and depending on how long you lock it up for, you'll get rewards. You'll get a percentage rewards. I think it starts at 4% for like a 1 week lock, and goes up to about 24% for I think a 3-year lock. And then those stakes you'll be able to use as reputation later on. So having staked Eliz, certain things like, for example, being able to be a vendor in the Muti market, you will have to have a certain amount of Eliz staked. So it's just ensuring that people have some skin in the game in order to do certain things. So, you know, even if you're just investing for the rewards, that stake that you staked and now you're getting a reward percentage will later on be able to be leveraged to show that you're a committed part of the community, and you'll be able to show that in certain ways. That staked Eliz will also be transferable. So although it would be locked and you can't unstake it to sell it, you can sell your whole amount. We've also got an emergency unstaking function if you really need it. You do lose all the rewards if you emergency unstake. But anyway, that's all coming. That's very close to developed. I don't know, Haku, if you want to say, I'll just mention the other piece that's coming, and then Haku's our lead Solidity dev. He maybe wants to say something, or if you have questions for him around that, he can answer them later. But yeah, so that's coming out probably this coming week, the forest, and then a bit down the line we've got something called the reef. And the reef it's for whales and larger liquidity providers, and that's to again buy locked Eliz with Phantom, but that locked Eliz will immediately be used to provide liquidity. So that's going to be placed with a liquidity partner, one of the decentralized exchanges, and that'll be coming a little bit later on. And that's going to be, they're going to be higher rewards for that than just locking up your Eliz, but it's going to be larger. It's going to need to come in with larger amounts. We haven't 100% finalized the amounts, but it'll be around 5,000 to 100,000 Phantom coming in with that much, and then they'll provide rewards and some beautiful artwork, some beautiful whale, dolphin, and shark artwork as NFTs for those who choose to come in and support us there, and also receive the rewards that will be available. Yeah, so that's what's coming really in the Eliz.money front. Yeah, I don't know, Haku, was there anything you wanted to share around that, around Money and the contracts?
Not really much to share, other than the forest is complete in terms of the smart contracts, and we're really just putting together the web interface right now so that people will be able to access them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Yeah, if some people have questions for you, it's great that you're here.
Yeah.
Just to say, yeah, we have also built into the forest a choice of donating to prevent deforestation, and it's going to actually be something that you have to do, but you can choose the amount. So a certain portion of everything that goes into the forest is going to go into a fund which we're setting up around deforestation, and we're obviously going to start working with medicine communities, people who are working with iboga, ayahuasca. Obviously protecting larger forestation, but that's the habitat of these medicine plants. So some will immediately, whatever you put into the forest will immediately go to our deforestation fund to prevent, and some reforestation, but deforestation is far more valuable than reforesting. Rather prevent a 100-year-old tree from being cut down than plant a seedling, but both, basically. Yeah, so that's Money. The next piece of the ecosystem we've got coming out is the multi-market. We've got 3 really exciting launch partners who we're going to be starting with in the multi-market. One who's selling products, one who's selling courses and trainings, and another one who's doing some deep fundamental research, some deep dive research, and looking for support and funding for their research, but also offering rewards to those who fund the research. And so we're busy pulling those together now. It's mostly going to be through a WooCommerce plugin, which we've written, which is released, which works really well. So you can plug that into any WordPress shop. And we've also written a pay with Eliz button, which anybody, so if you don't have WordPress, anybody can put on their website. It doesn't have a shopping cart attached to it, so it's just like a single, people can pay for one thing, send you 10 Eliz or 100 Eliz. It's kind of like the equivalent of a PayPal buy now button. So just people can cut and paste some code into their website. We're on the final stages of finishing that. So that's, yeah, those are 2 other pieces which have come out, some amazing work from our dev team to get those out. The WordPress, it's actually in review at the WordPress, to be on the WordPress plugin marketplace, although it'll be a free download, but it's currently in review there now. But it does also work. So if anybody wants to test it or use it, you can. We are happy to send you a copy of the plugin. And then once it's in the WooCommerce marketplace, you'll be able to download it, and people will be able to use it to accept a list immediately if they're so inclined. What we are doing with vendors is we're building a rebate contract. This is to help this early stage development, when it's like, well, why would I buy an Eliz when I could buy in dollars or something else? So what we're going to do is we're going to offer some rebates, whereby once you've shopped at the website, you can come back to the multi-market and you can get some of what you've just spent back. So, that's our way of incentivizing people to buy and people to come on board. And that's something, again, it's going to be decentralized. So you can go and create a rebate of whatever amount. You can create a rebate for somebody else. So if somebody set up a shop that you really love and you want to create a rebate for them, you can go and create a rebate for them. It doesn't just have to be the shop owner or the Elizio Foundation that's creating rebates for vendors. People can create rebates as a way of supporting or celebrating a vendor. So it's really interesting. This, again, it's like this decentralized thinking. Like, why would you have to come and apply to us and go through us in order to create a rebate? Yes, you create a rebate at the multi-market or at Eliz.money. We're finalizing where that's going to be. but it's completely decentralized. Anybody can create a rebate for anyone else and set it up, and then people can come and claim these rebates. So that's, as we've been going along with this, we're already seeing a lot of our thinking in terms of running things through us. We're like, no, our job as Elizio is to provide tools, to provide a infrastructure that people can use. And then people will do their own things with those tools. They'll come along and they'll do interesting rebates for pieces of art. And, at the moment, the rebates will only be in Eliz, but, eventually the rebates could be in artworks, or they could be in some other token, or some reputational currency, or, who knows where this could go to. So it's been really great to start kind of keeping on taking ourselves out of the center and moving ourselves to the role of servant. And, this is, personally, and other people who serve medicine, I've been serving medicine for about 8 years. Whenever I serve medicine, the word serving, it's got a double meaning. I'm serving people the medicine like a waiter would serve you, but I'm also serving. I'm a servant of the medicine. I serve a boga. I'm a servant to the medicine working with the people. And it's about the medicine and the people. It's not really about me as such. I'm just helping keep the people safe, keep their body safe, keep their mind safe. And so really, more and more, we're starting to see that as Elizios's role in the community is not to be the big thing in the center, but we're helping the people do their own work and helping remove friction from the system, where dollars and credit card providers and getting funds back and forth to people, that's friction in the system. What we're doing is we're creating infrastructure that makes it easier for people to see each other's reputations, to trade in a frictionless manner, to give rebates, to move value around the system. Is what we're enabling. So that's really the Muti market. Thou art the school and the education aspect. One of the people who is one of our first partners who's going to be selling is a training person. So that's really exciting for us. And also, we're not there yet, but a lot of the thinking around thou art. And also part of our philosophy is to work as lean as possible in a lean and agile method. So we're not going away and building something and then coming back 6 months later and dumping this monolith on people. We want to build and release tools and have people use the tools and give us feedback, and then we can iterate and the tools can improve. In Now Art, one of the first tools we will be releasing is a certification tool. And an ability to download a piece of content to get a module. So, if it's a teaching module, maybe it's a meditation that you can go into IPFS and you can download that meditation. And so we'll make it possible for educators to put a piece up, to upload a piece into the metaverse, really, using the interplanetary file system. And then when that piece is wanted, people can pay for it, of course, through the plugins we've mentioned previously, and then they can download it. And then once somebody's done it, you can give them a certificate saying they've done it, which is a non-transferable badge, really, attached to your wallet. So certification. And so again, it's just like building these little Lego bricks, building the pieces, and then people are going to put the pieces together how they want. But that started coming through this week. We've mapped some of that out. It's going to come after some of the other tools that we spoke about around rebates and things like that we're building. But it is on the list, and it's really exciting to see that coming. And that's really the update. There's nothing much to really report from Wings and Roots into Koza Bukaye. Nothing's been really happening on those fronts. So that's the kind of total report back. And I don't know if any of the team have anything to add. Kundalini, I know, you've been busy with the contest and with the marketing side. Just, not to share details, but, if there's any big picture stuff to share with the DAO from your side. No, okay, I guess not. All right. Yeah, are there any questions? Is there any feedback? I know we've shared quite a lot. If there's something you want to look at, the competition, decentralization, any of the product pieces that we mentioned. Yeah, let's open the floor.
Hey everybody. First thing, I thought that the video was fantastic. It's really cool. So good job to everyone who contributed to that. And I suppose the challenge now is going to be getting that spread far and wide. So yeah, maybe one question would be is like, is there you know, how is the competition going to kind of grow and get out there? Are there things being put in place to make that to help that to happen?
Yeah, there are. So we've got a list of a few hundred bloggers and medicine marketplaces and Facebook groups and things like that. And so this was, you know, it feels much better to reach out to these people, especially plant medicine groups, with an invitation to a competition with a cool video, than to go like, oh, hey, we did this thing, come and check out our crypto token. We already did that once and we got a bit of a not such a great reaction. You know, you always think your baby's more beautiful than other people do. And these, you know, one particular medicine group were, but oh, why are you coming in here and telling us about your crypto project? And we're like, well, it's relevant. But it, you know, they didn't really receive it in the spirit that it was intended. And so this feels like a much better introduction to people and a way of reaching them. So yeah, we've got quite a big list of places, forums, and this feels like a great thing to post on, you know, a Reddit forum or a Facebook forum. It's like, hey, there's a cool competition you can enter, come and enter it, and then of course people investigate the rest of it. So yeah, we've got quite a long list of those where it's going to be going out to. Yeah, not really. I mean, we've had some experiments with paid outreach, and it's not been the greatest, to be honest. The results have been a little underwhelming, given the amounts we've paid. And I think the people who were sharing it weren't necessarily so clued up. We get thousands of offers of people with big Telegram groups and groups in Asia and things like that. We might do a couple of translations. That was something which struck us. You know, we had a really interesting Chinese group and a Japanese group come to offer their services, and it feels quite exciting to be able to reach out to non-English speaking communities. So, you know, what we might do is we might fund some translation of the video, maybe even just subtitles. You know, get some translators to do some subtitles and put those in on the video, and then release it to other language groups, Portuguese groups in Brazil. Things like that, you know, that feels like a good strategy. But yeah, we're also open to any other ideas or suggestions.
No, that sounds yeah, that sounds brilliant. Sounds like I completely agree with the idea of kind of going gently and letting people's inquisitive nature do the heavy lifting.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
Yeah. What we haven't done yet is make a flyer. We didn't quite manage that yet. And it's on the very important next things to do list to make a flyer that's Instagrammable easily and, you know, that can go out into things like that more easily than, like, you know, because sometimes people don't watch a video, but they will look at a flyer. So, and I really think word of mouth is a good thing too. So shout out to everybody in the Telegram group, tell your friends, you know, spread the word. Let's grow this DAO. Let's grow this DAO and start stabilizing everything that we're believing in here more deeply. Do you want to speak what you've been sharing as well, Kundalini? Yeah, we've been sharing with personal databases. I certainly have been. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if there are any more questions or comments.
Leonie, I know that you're fairly new to this, just like me, fairly new to the whole crypto world. And you've got some old ones here in this circle together with us. So I want to encourage you to ask any questions, because they will also be beneficial to anyone else who listens to this audio after the call.
Thanks, Mary. I'm sitting quietly in the background and thinking, my goodness, we've been on for about how long? 20 minutes? And I understood about artwork and deforestation and very little about crypto, but I'm very happy to be here with you and to be expanding my understanding of it, and just looking at the new way that we will be weaving economies. And yeah, it's going to take quite something for us to deprogram from that which we've been used to for generations and create this new way of doing things. So I'm very humbled and very happy to be here. Thank you. I'm excited about the artwork side. I'm looking forward to seeing that. The video was amazing, so inspiring, and the graphics, everything was just really lovely. And now that I'm back from my retreat, I will try and make some time to go through and just learn some more things from what's available on the web. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Leonie. Thank you. I love your lion, also your lion picture. Yeah, just so you guys know, Leonie is one of the creators of the artworks for the reef, not to be revealed yet, but in a few weeks you'll see the amazing work, very powerful work that she's done. Really, thank you so much for that. Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you.
In the DAO. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask Haku, because I think, well, I don't know who's been in this game longer than of everybody, but I know that you do a very good job of explaining things. So just like to drop into a little, what is there anything that rises now in you that you feel like you could bring that demystifies some small aspect of the kind of crypto, decentralized, blockchain, et cetera, reality in that we're busy translating here now in the ecosystem, Elizios?
Sure. I think the thing that I guess rises in me is that for a long time, money was decentralized. Our trading was decentralized. It was something that happened organically as humans, and then slowly it became more centralized and more controlled. And so much so that we've got to a place now where we've completely forgotten how to do that. And also with the nature of digital, it's easy to, even when you've got a centralized currency like Rand or dollars or whatever, you've got a physical note that you can trade with, where if I've got like 50 Rand note or 10 Rand note or whatever, nothing is stopping me from trading with somebody. Whereas the minute we move to digital, then suddenly it becomes controlled again, because digital needs to be controlled in terms of, how do we ensure, how do you keep the scarcity? Like with a 10 Rand note, you have scarcity that is in the nature of the 10 Rand note, but with digital, you have this infinite copyable thing. So what cryptocurrency does is it makes it possible to once again have a tradable asset like a physical asset, which doesn't need to be controlled, and so suddenly we're able to then trade like we used to, like hundreds and hundreds of years ago, where before money even thousands of years ago, money was quite centralized. But yeah, we are able to go back to that and rediscover what it means as human beings to be able to trade with each other without needing governments and regulators and people in between to tell us what we can and what we can't buy. And I think that for me is the most exciting piece of it. And I don't think there's time now to go into that too deeply. But what that's doing is it's opening up again, all new possibilities of how we can be human again. And I think the ability to trade with one another is one of the most sort of fundamental aspects of being human. Even nature's trading with each other all the time. Plants and in the mycelial networks, you've got all sorts of transactions that are happening. And all that stuff just happens without needing a bank in between, or without needing a government to say what can or can't be moved. And I think cryptocurrency is now creating that interface for humans to be able to move beyond needing these power structures to stop us or to regulate how we trade with each other. And that's what kind of turned me on about the whole thing. The possibilities. That we can start inventing and creating all sorts of new ways of doing human and doing trading and money systems and all of that without needing permission, without needing to. Yeah, I was playing in the space for many years where we were trying to do different types of mobile money and electronic money, but every single time we got stonewalled by the banks. They just wouldn't allow us because we had to go through them. Whereas now we don't need to anymore. We've got these systems that regulate themselves. So I think it's a very natural interface for medicines and plant medicines and the natural world to be interfacing with the human world. It's a very natural way for us to start interfacing these things, and learning again how to operate in a decentralized way. And it's definitely a learning. What you were saying earlier about, it's like such a massive paradigm shift for us, because from when we're small, we are taught in centralized ways. We are taught to, hierarchical systems and centralized systems, governments and school principals, and so I think the exciting thing for me is not just the fact that we are now operating on top of the decentralized platforms, but also that we're trying to bring it into more real world, like thou art, creating a decentralized school, university, whatever you want to call it, the ability to create the infrastructure so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time, but doing it in a way where no one's now in control of it. Yeah. So I guess that's a summary of sort of what I'm passionate about in the space and why I kind of got into it. And fortunately, I can code, and so I'm able to now encode some of these protocols, I guess, into smart contracts.
I have a question.
Sure.
How do we curate an environment, like through coding? How do we create, or is it possible to create an environment in a way that it still remains decentralized, but it's curated, so that it doesn't just become kind of a littered park, a beautiful nature reserve that's full of litter because people are throwing their cans out the windows, kind of
For
thing.
sure.
How do we
You
do
know, and
that?
I think so. I think it's a mix between, you know, so I think things like DAOs where people can vote and all that kind of thing is useful. But like take Bitcoin, for instance, or Ethereum, you know, where they have gas fees, you know, the transaction fee. The reason that that transaction fee was instituted originally was as a curation mechanism, so that people wouldn't start spamming, you know, creating very, very small transactions and filling up the blocks that were created. You know, so the transaction fee creates a bit of a filter, a bit of a, you know, it's got to matter for me to do this transaction. It's got to be worth something where it's worthwhile me paying the transaction fee. And the transaction fee is also incentivizing miners to mine blocks and so on. So I think creating these mechanisms that allow for you know, where the path of least resistance is actually a path that is not throwing the litter out. You know, where you're creating mechanisms that are incentivizing behavior that is supporting the commons rather than pushing against it. You know, and so I mean that requires a lot of thinking and a lot of really, you know, a lot of experimentation, and that's why I think part of what we're doing in terms of creating these small experiments, you know, like the WooCommerce button, you know, it's a small experiment in terms of decentralization. You know, we're not creating a massive platform and then you know, rolling it out in 6 months' time, but we can create these little experiments and then start tweaking them as we see people responding, as we see the community you know, engaging. I think like things like staking tokens, you know, is a great way of creating sort of a natural curation, in that it's to my benefit to act for the greater good of the whole community, rather than to be a bad actor, you know. And so one can start like sort of nudging these systems in a certain direction by the way you code them. But yeah, it's a very tricky thing. We are engaged in creating a very complex system, but the way that you create complex systems is start out by creating simple systems that then build on top of each other. I don't know if that answers your question. I mean, it's a really difficult question.
Mary loves putting you on the spot, Haku.
I know.
You know, you said something.
I'm learning to try and flow with it.
You said something so interesting there about complexity, because we've started listening to this amazing book called Sand Talks. I just shared it in the chat by Tyson Young.
You should share the link. Actually, share the link in the Telegram group.
Yeah,
to the Audible.
I'll share the link in the group. But something you just said, Haku, about complexity, because you know, one of the things he says in the intro to that book is we've tried to simplify things, and in taking out the complexity, we've made things complicated. He's like, nature is complex without being complicated, you know. And so it's like just starting to get that complexity arises from the interaction of a lot of simple things. But when you try and centralize and simplify, things end up getting quite complicated. And so it's you know, you just said that, it just reminded me so much of that, because it is, if you create these simple things which interact with each other, then the complexity arises organically rather than being a human bureaucratic complication.
Correct. I mean, I've just started playing with synthesizers, you know, and synthesizers are these, you know, small little parts that interact with each other that create incredibly complex sounds. You know, so you've got a very simple waveform, or a set of maybe 4 waveforms that you can choose from, but then you add this filter and add this oscillator and add this little thing, and before you know it, you've got this incredibly complex system of sound that is now feeding back on each other, and you know, it becomes quite organic and quite like almost unpredictable. Now, I mean, in systems theory, you've got this whole thing of feedback loops and you know, being able to tweak systems. I mean, Bitcoin, for instance, is a self-regulating, very complex system made up of very simple parts, and it's just that the way that the system works regulates itself. I mean, the human body is the same thing. Our immune system, our ecosystems are the same thing. They're very, very complex, but there's also regulation within these complex systems that overall the whole thing is always moving towards a form of balance, and so if you have too much of this, then the system will actually almost react in a way that then eventually comes back to balance. And so how do we codify that in these simple pieces that are always pulling back to a form of co-regulation? Yeah, it's tricky, but it's how we are in life. We're doing this so naturally. We are a self-regulated complex system made up of simple parts. And so this is what the plants teach us, is when we go deep into that primordial wisdom of what we really are. I think that can come through and start teaching us how to do this in our more sort of, the newer technologies that we're creating. And I think that's why it's important to learn from all the systems.
Yeah, it's, I remember when we first started dreaming this ecosystem and showing it to one or two people, and they were like, why are you making it so complicated? This is ridiculous. There's so many different parts, like, can't you just do one part and then maybe put on more afterwards? But actually, if you have a proper look at, and in saying this, I'm also encouraging anybody who may be listening who's not here to have a proper look at the whole ecosystem that's been written up in the dreaming. Because for it to really work in its pure simplicity, all of the parts really are necessary. All of the different aspects, all of the different pieces need to come into play to maintain that balance and that open communication and the flow of equality and that kind of stuff. Yeah. I guess something we didn't report earlier is that we have also started to talk to people about and make inquiries into opening up pathways to wisdom holders and wisdom elders around the world in different places, and looking into how will we be able to get reward to them from us in ways that it'll be useful for them and easy for them to receive. So that inquiry has started in real time as well, speaking to some of the people who go to these places where the elder wisdom people live fairly regularly and have deep connections with them, and starting to brainstorm that process, that feels good too. Yeah, it really is all hands on deck. I feel there's no way we can do this as a foundation without the participation of the Tao. It would otherwise end up just being another hierarchy. So we really, really are encouraging everybody in the Tao, and share it with your friends. And if people don't want to jump into the crypto part at this stage because it's too scary, come and join the Telegram group anyway, because you can help us to make it more accessible in the storytelling of it. Let's do this thing. It's really worth it. Yeah.
Hey, all right. Thank you, everybody. We're almost on the hour, so that's good timing. Thank you all for the pieces you bought. To those of you listening after the fact, thank you for listening this far. I hope you gained something from it. I did. It was great to just be here and share. And we're just going to close out with some gratitude and thanks. A final piece. Mary, would you like to say the closing words?
Okay. So I'm sitting here in the center of my being and opening my voice in gratitude to the big mountains that are holding space for us with your deep roots, reaching up into the skies that have been watching us humans go in and out of various states of confusion for so very long, and are once again offering wisdoms that are coming through from very old places and that are right here now, without a doubt, bringing those places together. I want to also say thank you to the plants and the roots and the shoots and the flowers and the poisons and the sweet stuff and the highly nutritious stuff and all of the nutrition, the stuff that benefits our bodies and our awarenesses, our consciousnesses. I want to say thank you also to the plant of the human body, to this human tree that we are, this community of trees that we are, with our forests of ancestors. Hey, that really, even by feeling pain in our own bodies, inspire us to look for new ways of walking, of standing, of holding ourselves in posture, of posturing, to surrounding ourselves with reflections, people, conversations, energies, nutritional information that really makes us feel good in all the ways without hiding anything from ourselves. So now that we are living in this time where nothing can really be hidden from us very easily anymore, because the metaverse is here, because the technology monster, the internet, is become part of our natural everyday life, because of these things that have made us afraid, that we are embracing even inside ourselves. Yeah, that we can step now together more and more and more into a place of open communication. We give thanks for the tools and the timing and the big heart of life that is guiding us to seek pathways of love that allow us to be free. For our children, even if we don't experience them fully in our own lifetimes, to experience them as deeply as possible and grow systems that will grow beyond us into the future, into the present that's ever unfolding. So, of course, give thanks. Hallelujah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today and beyond, ever beyond, and beyond awakening. So be it. Hey.
Thank you, everybody.
Hallelujah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a
Gracias.
beautiful
Thank you.
day or whatever it is further. Yeah. And we'll see you. We'll see you next month.
Thank you for the sharing.
Thank you. Blessings to all.
Blessings.
Thank you, everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah.